Picture this. You're a child, and the world is a big old scary place. Even the smallest of things can give you the heebie-jeebies. In real life, TV shows, films, anything really, but especially video games. Ever since a wee babby, I was pretty much raised by PlayStation, and there were certainly some things within its discs that shocked me to my core. In no particular order, I've conjured up a collection of gaming moments that have managed to scar me in ways I didn't think was possible. I look back at these moments sometimes now as an adult and they still creep me out. Some of these are justified, but most of them are bloody pathetic. Intentional or not, here are 10 things in video games that scared me as a kid. And before I start, all of these moments are coming from non-horror games, just to give you a general idea of how much of a bubble-blowing baby I was. Man, who doesn't love Spyro? This little dragon played a massive part in every gamer's childhood in some way, and especially mine. Spyro Year of the Dragon was the first video game I ever touched, and was what introduced me to video games in the first place, so of course, I am biased when I say this is my favourite video game ever made, of all time, period. So much so that it's led me to making very poor financial decisions. Right now you might be thinking, Blue, what's so scary about Spyro? He's just a little guy charging around collecting gems and dragon eggs. What, are you high? Yes. But hear me out. The first scary thing that comes to mind to most people in Spyro 3 are the bosses, like Buzz, Spike, the Sorceress, and especially Scorch. Like, Jesus, look at this thing! Even that Shark Submarine minigame spooked some youngins, including myself back then. But to me, they all weren't a problem. They didn't faze me whatsoever. Okay, maybe a tad bit. The problem was when I entered frozen altars for the first time. Yes, stay with me. You walk through the gates to be greeted by a fairy who grants you the power of ice breath. You're then wandering around the winter wonderland, vibing along with the peaceful music, whilst killing every Rhinoc and Mammoth in your wake. Yep, everything's going well so far. Let's just fly over this little bit here and...
What the fuck is that?
This is gonna be so hard for me to explain this, but can you blame me? This colossal abomination had me frozen with fear, like no pun intended. Like, I'm trying my damnedest to justify this one, but look at it! What is that model? I have no idea what was so terrifying about it, but this absolute unit of ice and teeth had me shook, both figuratively and literally. Like, even that mini clip alone managed to frighten me. Well, I know, it's pathetic, right? I got scared by a snowman of all things. Out of the many enemies in this game, why that one? I guess the other good thing is that since the Reignited trilogy, they've updated his model so he doesn't look as scary. No, okay, I take it all back. What the fuck is that? Now that I've mentioned Spyro, how about I go ahead and gracefully move on to talk about his rival. Crash, much like Spyro, is also a big part of my life. One of my favourite games of his being Twin Sanity. Despite being an unfinished and rushed in development game full of glitches, it's a perfect tongue-in-cheek platform that spawned some memorable moments like these.
If you rid my land of these pests, I'll give you this power crystal.
Well, the past few years have kind of been slow. Wrath of Cortex didn't do as well as we'd hoped, and... Fish? How could things get any worse? Come!
And the other best part about this game is that they have my baby boy as a cameo!
But I think he might want his gems back.
It's all in all a fun, good old time. But you know what isn't, though?
The Wrath of Cortex.
The Wrath of Cortex is by no means a perfect game. Many consider it to be one of the worst in the series, and I can agree in some parts. But playing this in the eyes of a kid, though, I thought it had a lot of personality to it. The soundtrack is one of Crash's best, in my opinion, and the gameplay is just fine. Most of the time. Seriously, some of these levels nearly made me reduce my controller to atoms out of anger.
Wheels on the bus, though.
But what was the thing that terrified me as a kid, though? The Dragon Chase segment in Wizards and Lizards? Crunches and Lolo's boss fight?
What is that?
Or just the balked and ugly models in general? This is 6th generation console gaming, folks! Wait, why is Search Tankian here?
La 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 la.
Nah, the one thing that scared me here is a lot sillier than that.
Giving up?
Yep. A simple game over screen is what pushed me over the edge. A grinning Cortex staring into a hologram, tapping his spindly fingers, that was it. But what didn't help was the eerie silence that came with it. As a wee babby, I felt like I was being interrogated. I felt like he was watching through the TV screen, waiting for me to make a choice to carry on or give up. Now, keep in mind, I had the PS2 version with no sound whatsoever. At least the Xbox version had the decency to add some background noise to break the tension, but that doesn't make it any less creepy. My worst mistake, though, was when I pressed X to continue.
Get ready to face my wrath, Crash Bandicoot!
Imagine hearing that damn laugh in a dark bedroom during the wee hours of the night. This scared me so much. It made me shut my PS2 off, take the disc out, and never once touch the game again. Maybe it was my fear of sudden loud noises, Cortex's goat laugh reverberating in my skull, or his unblinking eyes, or his eagle eyebrows. I don't know. Maybe a couple of you watching right now have a shared memory of playing Sonic Gems Collection on the PS2, a cute little catalogue of some of Sonic's best games throughout his lifetime, as well as a few stinkers. Within this library, though, it held one of Sega's more forgotten mascots that I think desperately needs a comeback, Vectorman. Released on the Sega Genesis in late 1995, it was a unique 2D run-and-gun platformer that used its pre-rendered sprites to mimic 3D animation. I, for one, loved this game when I was younger, but not as much as I did with its sequel, Vectorman 2, on the Sega Mega Drive. And also in Sonic Gems Collection. Whereas the first game, you were sent to a desolate and polluted Earth in the year 2049 to defeat an overlord robot, which is a lot scarier knowing that it mirrors real life and is probably fast approaching. But in number 2, your space shuttle crashes mid-flight onto a post-apocalyptic planet filled with mutants. As a kid, this felt more like an adventure than scaling the real world. I mean, who plays video games to escape reality? That's just stupid. Right off the bat, it looks a lot more ominous. The darker and more brooding levels with dirtier color schemes, underground crawling and trickier platforming, as well as the disgusting creatures that will try to pounce on you at any given moment. Now, don't get me wrong, all of that got under the skin of my younger self. I mean, as it would with any other child, but not as much as when I lost all of my lives. What in Mother Mary's name was that? I can't tell what's worse. The way Vectorman just falls apart in the presence of this thing. All that slow echoed bit crushed laugh as she watches your body collapse to pieces waiting for her next meal. For context, this is the Black Widow Queen, the final boss of the game, which I never had the courage, skill, nor the balls to reach back then. In the actual boss fight, she looks much less intimidating than she does here. Hell, this is even worse than the original scrapped game over screen. I mean, yeah, this one's a bit more depressing, but I'd rather take that than whatever crawled out of the Netherrealm and plastered itself onto my screen. That shouldn't be scary, but it just is. Even today, it still freaks me out. Right, next entry, and we're back at Sonic Gems Collection again. What? But Vectorman's already had his turn, so what could possibly be... Oh, right off! But surely everyone and their dogs have heard of Sonic CD, inarguably one of the Blue Blur's most celebrated games of all time. The visuals, the nostalgic feel of the early 90s, the banging soundtrack, I mean, what's not to love about it? My 7-year-old self loved this game with every nerve ending. I mean, it's only inevitable that every autistic kid has Sonic become a hyperfixation at some point. So much so that it affects our day-to-day life and social interactions in a debilitating negative manner, and we can't do anything in our power to tone it down or stop it for the sake of others. It's all in all just a classic. Such a quaint and colourful little game. Until you start drowning. What? Oh? Huh. We didn't get the anxiety-inducing music this time. Oh, thank God for that. Oh, damn it, my lungs collapsed. Now what?
Jesus Christ!
What was that? such a cute looking game, why did the music have to be so unhinged? The sudden jump from a dynamic music track to an intimidating organ, followed by a chorus of echoed laughter, haunted me. I swear I would hear this exact music playing in the background of some of my nightmares when I was younger. Now, this assault on the ears is specifically from the US version, which I find very baffling because the European and Japanese versions had entirely different soundtracks. For comparison, this is what we got. And those across the pond were mentally scarred with... To be very clear, I'd have much rather preferred... over... But since both my parents couldn't afford any Sega consoles back in the day, they had to adapt and overcome and bought me Sonic Gems collection, where I was unfortunately stuck with... Mum, Dad, thanks for the trauma. Anyone who was raised on Cartoon Network back in the day will remember Ben 10. As a kid, I'd be more interested in toys and TV shows that were stereotypically aimed at boys, which was the first of many signs. And The Adventures of Benjamin Kirby Tennyson was one of them. Yes, that's his government name. Kirby's his middle name. Look it up. I've played the likes of Protector of Earth, Alien Force, and even that racing spin-off game on the DS. But anyone who's an OG fan will remember this little thing. The Ben 10 DVD game. I can't remember if it was a freebie that came with a toy set, but I remember playing this digital board game with my brother for hours on end. We would always fight over which alien was the best as well. His being Ben Wolf and mine being Ripjaws. Ripjaws is still the GOAT, don't argue with me, case closed. Back on topic though, this is a bit of a weird one. It's basically a board game in which you have to collect all 13 aliens in the Omnitrix. You do this by completing a selection mini-games that's relative to the alien you've landed on, like punching walls for forearms, quizzes for grey matter, spitting at targets for stinkfly, and literal button mashing for accelerate. Being a board game, you have randomly generated die dictating how many spaces each player moves. You can land on an alien, a slot machine to win an alien, Gwen, Grandpa, and chances to spin again. But there are also bad spaces. Hex will throw you all the way back to the beginning, and Vilgax or Kevin 11 will steal an alien from you. Now, what was so scary about this one? I mean, the transformations were pretty unsettling, but that's not what heebed my jeebies.
Oh man, Kevin 11 has absorbed some of your powers.
Oh, right, I lost an alien from my inventory, and about 5 seconds of awkward silence later... Again, this is gonna be so hard to justify. Stop looking at me like that! That sudden droning noise stirred something inside that made me feel extremely uncomfortable. Was it the sudden noise itself? Was it the intimidating red bubbly background? The feeling like I've sent an alien I've just lost to the gruesome fate by Kevin 11? Or was it that I played this with my bedroom door shut in the middle of the night with the lights off? Like, what? I don't know. I was a stupid little kid who was more sensitive than a politician. Nothing will justify this trauma. Oh, but hey, at least the music's banging. I'd be a fat, filthy liar if I said I wasn't a fan of wrestling. WWE was one of the largest factors of my childhood. Vividly, I remember the days of watching episodes with my brother on school nights when we were supposed to be sleeping. I mean, what's not to love about watching large, sweaty men in tights beat each other bloody senseless in a ring?
Shut up, bitch!
What further grew my love for the sport were games like WWF SmackDown, Attitude, and even today with the 2K series, as you may have watched on some of my streams.
Wallace's rival, Mr. Bean! Holy shit!
But what strengthened my grip on the world of wrestling was when my mum found my dad's old PlayStation collection, with games he had dating all the way back from 1994, and one of them was the start of it all, SmackDown v Raw 2008. The startup menu is simple yet effective, but then a randomly picked song from the banger jukebox hits you right in the testicles. Nostalgia, bro. It's insane how many people remember this game purely for its soundtrack, and how could you not? And that's not all either. The roster was packed, the matchup types were endless, and the OST were full of bangers that I still find them lingering in my head some days. Moving on topic, surely this game can't be scary, right? Let's be fair, most of you are probably looking towards Kane. He was the stuff of every little kid's nightmare back in the day. Yeah, he was frightening, but I found him to be more of a badass here just by his entrance theme alone. Or maybe The Undertaker.
Do I really need to explain why?
Oh, and Snitsky was a bit of a weird one. I didn't like him that much.
Who in the blue hell are you?
but none of them came close to the hardcore icon from ECW himself, the Sandman. I remember playing an ECW Extreme Rules match, and being only 8 years old at the time, I had no idea what that entailed. I just thought the word extreme sounded cool. And of course, as tradition in 2008, I had to pick my boy, the man, the myth, the John Cena! Then his entrance was over, and the screen faded to black. After a couple of moments, this is what I was greeted with. Maybe part of it was his blender-looking model, and again, I'm trying to explain the impossible to you without fumbling my words. But what did it for me was his Titantron video. I don't know, something about a chain-smoking middle-aged man armed with a kendo stick and cracking his noggin open with a beer can scared the schmeckles out of me back then. And this was before the match even started. The video summed up everything that I needed to know about him. He is a machine. He is violence incarnate. Do not fuck with him, or else you'll be lying in a pool of your own blood. Along with his theme song, it was just enough for me to not play the game for a couple of days. Honestly, I have no idea why he scared me so much as a kid, and there's no possible way I can explain to you without being called a coward. Pokemon. According to most, one of the greatest franchises of all time, nay, the greatest in history. My first proper introduction was with Diamond and Pearl on the original DS. I was so intrigued by this world where human and creatures existed in unity. The colourful and diverse roster of monsters really attracted me to the series for starters. But then, my attention was fully caught, and my love blossomed with 2010's Black and White. This was the game to own. I swear everyone and their grandmas played this back then. Gen 5 was finally introduced, and we were blessed with even more Pokemon to catch and expand the seemingly endless Pokedex. Amongst the zany cast of characters, you had ice cream cones, elemental monkeys, sentient slime balls, literal garbage, and my personal favourites being Emboar, Cubchoo, Lilligant, Joltik, Brillish, Reshiram, for obvious reasons, Yamask, Whimsicott, Zorua, Victini, and Nushana, purely because of its cry. But there was one in particular that stood out to me for all the wrong reasons. True story, I was playing this game on a school night. You did it too, don't lie to me now. During my grinding for the next gym leader, one of the mons in my party, Gotharita, was finally evolving. Oh, what's this gonna look like? Oh, golly gee, I'm so excited! Oh, what mysterious creature will appear from the light? Oh, was this too much for me? I just can't... Oh my god! I heard that cry blaring through the speakers for the first time as if it crawled out of the deepest blemish of hell. I slammed the DS shut, hid it under my pillow, and forced myself to sleep that night, clutching onto the nearest plushie with as much force as a chokehold. Most people will say that Giratina first appearance was enough to brown their pants. But this thing did it for me. Oh, what was that? That wasn't horrifying enough for you? Oh yeah, hold on. Let me just slow its cry down a little bit. Can you honestly blame me for finding Gothitelle scary? Like, goddamn, I wasn't scared of Chandelure, Bannet, Shedinja, or God forbid Mr. Mime, but Gothitelle? Nowadays, I love her. She's serving Tenchu. My very first introduction to pure unbridled violence! Yet fair to say I shouldn't have played this game as an innocent little child, but Tenchu Stealth Assassins is what I personally consider to be a deeply hidden gem in the PS1 library. An incredible stealth game which accurately depicts covert and undercover combat, just like how a real 16th century ninja would operate. This diamond in the rough was part of my dad's extended collection of video games. I have a very special core memory of watching him playing it growing up, and as I got older we would throw some iconic voice lines at each other. How there isn't a cult following, I've not a clue, and it makes me even sadder to hear that there's been radio silence since 2008, when their final game came out on the Wii of all places. FromSoft, I am literally begging you to make a Stealth Assassins remake. Just please. Let's get back on track. It's totally understandable that a kid would be scared of this gory 18+ game that is clearly made for adults, but we're not going to be talking about that. There are plenty of things here that I could mention that frighten the bejesus out of me. Onikage, for instance.
I see. You have come to meet your fate. What?
And the bosses, especially Goo and Barnaby Bear and that creepy mangy stone lady.
You're not going to
get it.
Ugh. But all of them were piss in the wind compared to what was about to crush all of that competition.
So, you killed Onikage. Who would have thought it possible?
Tell me where Princess Kiku is.
Do not concern yourself with the girl. Think about saving your skin.
Sweet Jesus, Mary and Joseph! The resurrected ruler of hell, Lord Mayo, or as my dad called him, Lord Mayonnaise, struck fear into me even before the final battle. His slow, deranged voice rattled in my brain. His mere presence was intimidating, and I felt completely powerless under him. And then came the actual boss fight. This load of horseshit gave me an aneurysm. The whole sequence is pretty much like fighting Jinpachi Mishima in Tekken 5. He's utterly broken. His range is insane. He can teleport here, there, and everywhere. His move's far too quick despite the size of him. Yeah, Lord Mayonnaise was the devil himself as far as 6-year-old me was concerned. Hell, even PudgyBlu was a bit shook. But if that wasn't enough, I didn't know what awaited me next.
However much they try, humans are but prey. So weak, so pathetic.
I was stunned into shock. Yeah, I know, it's another game over screen, but not shush. The haunting still image paired with that eerie droning music was enough to make me sit there for a few minutes contemplating life. And what the hell's up with this patronizing message? The ninja Rikimaru lies broken, a shadow in life, in death of failure. Damn, you didn't have to call me out like that, bro. Other Tenchu games have done the same thing too, truly making you feel like you fucked up and you're nothing but a waste. Lord Mayo in heaven. Even seeing this now as an adult makes me wet. And not in the good way. As a series, Tekken was my introduction to the FGC and fighting games as a whole, and I popped that same cherry with Tekken Tag Tournament, one of my favourite video games of all time, bar none, period. But that's not what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be diving into the King of
Iron Fist Tournament 5.
Tekken 5 is without a doubt the best of the best when it comes to fighting games. The creme de la creme, if you will. One of the most successful and influential games on the PS2, selling over 8 million copies worldwide. And I can see why. The diverse roster, the soundtrack, the fits, the combat, the mechanics, the raw energy. Everything about it is just... oh, beautiful. One of my favourite parts of the game as a kid was story mode, where I got a lore drop on every single character I remember from Tag 1 and had the chance to learn their backstories and their motive for the 5th tournament. My favourites at the time were Xiao Yu and Asuka, but no one comes close to Devil Jin, the GOAT. He is mine, and no one will take him from me. The story mode has 9 stages, each one being more chaotic and challenging than the last. Trust me, I tried. Once you get past level 5, you're screwed. No! Sub-boss time, and it's... Devil Jin, my beloved. After regretfully beating my husband to a pulp, I got to the final boss, and I had no idea who he was back then until I played through the other character story mode to reveal that he is actually Heihachi's father. Now, depending on who you pick, either you get a special interaction with Granddaddy Mishima, or you get a generalized meet and greet cutscene. So I sat back, locked in, and prepared for the fight of my life. Until...
よくぞここまでたどり着いたな。わしの名は三島陣八。わしの目的は全ての破壊。
You can't blame me for finding Jinpachi horrifying, can you? I mean, look at this abomination! A giant mouth for a stomach and massive bone spikes coming out of his skin. I don't know what you want me to say. The distorted voice, his menacing aura, and the sheer size of him was just too much for me to cope with as a young'un. And before I go any further with this segment, can I just say that this boss fight can choke on a flip-flop and die in a hole? This pricking boss fight is genuinely unfair. The entire time you're at the final stage, you're gonna wish that you never made it there. It is close to impossible to beat him without being cheesy. All that fear was further exacerbated when I simply couldn't handle another rematch with him. And what was I given as a punishment? No, not just regular game over text, but something much worse.
誰もわしを止めることはできなかったか。
Great. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. Thanks, you twat. The eldritch horror that you've just witnessed aside, if this is a big if you finally manage to beat him, oh my god, it feels so good. Killing this behemoth still gives me the exact same satisfaction today, and it is incredible. And it only took me 19 retries.
Fresh out of college. Oh my god! Yes! Fuck you, Chibati! Fuck you!
If you're a seasoned PudgyBlu veteran, but not that you'd want to be, but you'll know by now that I absolutely adore the Oddworld franchise. The beautiful yet grotesque worlds and its inhabiting creatures, an entire subliminal message of anti-capitalism and mysticism, a whole expanded universe full of the peculiar and the odd. Get it? Because it's in the name. And of course, the everyman Abe, who any player of any age can relate to. He's no superhero with any busted powers or anything like that. He's just an unlucky goofball who gets himself into things he's not prepared for. Like he starred in an early 2000s music video that one time. Oddworld may be known for its incredible artistry, its gripping stories of freedom, discovery, and hope, and also for its tough as fuck gameplay that will make you put an entire foot through your TV screen. But they are more well known and more notorious for their bad endings. My god, what is with all these game over screens? And I know what you're thinking, no, it's not the one where Abe gets mercilessly thrown into a meat grinder, undoing all those hours of work that you've just done. And no, it's not the one where Abe gets hung up inside of a torture chamber and electrocuted to death. I'm talking about the one from Munch's Odyssey, Oddworld's first entry onto the original Xbox. If you know, you know. I'm not even going to say anything. I'll just let the whole thing play out so you can see for yourself. I suffered watching this, so now you have to as well.
We gotta get those eggs out of here. Huh? But... I'm trying to help out. Wrong answer. What's that mean? Oh, no. No.
Hello, Lady Margaret? We've got your brand new lung sitting right here. We can do the transplant as soon as available. Wonderful. See you then. Surprise!
Whoa, wait, hang on. What's this game's age rating again? 12 plus. 12 plus? Okay. This was no short of traumatizing for me. The absolute shock and horror this end inflicted onto 10-year-old Blue at the time, I physically can't put into words. Just picture this for a second. Seeing Abe's decapitated head cruelly mounted onto a wall like a trophy, the Vicar towering over the screen with his weapons of torture on full display, and poor little Munch having his lungs literally torn out of him whilst he's still awake and under no anesthesia. What the fuck? Hold your horses. There's more. To add more salt in the wound and more brown in your pants, at the end of whatever the hell that was, a pop-up message splats in your face telling you that you're a dickhead. Can you imagine how crushing that must be as a child to see that? This one sodding cutscene made me feel like a villain. Like, I just did that. I killed Abe. I killed Munch. I've single-handedly led an entire endangered species into extinction. I mean, hell, I'd like to bet that this is even worse than Abe's Odyssey's copyright warning screen. And that's not even supposed to be scary. Hey, you lovely lot. Thank you all so much for watching. If you've made it this far to the end, what the hell's wrong with you? Nah, I'm joking, I love you. I'd also like to give a special thanks to my supporters over on my Patreon: Leon320, Seven End, Charles Kimball, Power Crasher 2, and Orion Star. Thank you so much, every single one of you.